Hey guys, my name is Venkatesh, and I'm just going to tell you about very important interview question today, which is how is Spring Boot application works internally. So specifically, we are going to focus upon the auto configuration part, how the auto configuration is going to work. Okay. So first of all, let's understand that it is Spring Boot application. So this is the notation Spring Boot application. Okay. So basically it has the three part. Okay. As we can see, first is the configuration. Secondly, enable auto configuration. Enable auto configuration. Okay. And third is the component scan. Component scan. Okay. Scan. So what is the meaning of each of the annotation? So first of all, the configuration, it means if you have annotated your class with the @ configuration, which simply means that your class is now eligible for creation of the beans. So it's just like XML. Earlier we have used to XML, where we are just going to define certain kinds of properties, and based on that your application context reads, and there are a lot of beans are available for you. So by using configuration, your class will become a configuration class, which means that your class is just is ready to produce a beans. So it'll definitely that would be the part of the configuration. I'll definitely cover to a component scan. So as there are the two words as the scan, and first is the component. So there are a certain annotation which is known as a stereotype annotation, which normally don't require to define in a configuration files. Okay. These are annotations like let's say controller, rest controller, or you can say service, repository. So these are some annotation which are basically known as you can think of the stereotype annotation. So this is the annotation which scan this particular package. We have to define it over here where to look for. Okay, and it goes to this particular location and it's just start scanning these packages and figure it out how many of the classes has been defined with these annotations, and of each of them I will create each of one instance and will be available for the your application context. Now coming to the enable auto configuration, this is very important. Enable auto configuration, and that's entire magic. How the Spring Boot is basically working internally, it's all depend upon the enable auto configuration. So basically what happens, it look for your class path. Okay, everything. What suppose that you have added a repository JPA, starter repository JPA. Okay, so it look for basically first thing, what is available in the class path, what are the properties that you have defined in your application dot properties or YAML file. So these are the YAML file. These are the two places where you have defined. Depending upon that, it generates the configuration for your application. Okay, it generates the application. So it basically create some kind of basic configuration for your application to run smoothly. So but the whole problem is, how does it know? So it basically, when you are creating your Spring Boot application, it have a jar file, which is let me show you guys. This is basically the jar file name is that Spring Boot auto configuration. And if you go down the line, you'll figure it out. There is a spring.factories. This is the particular file under the meta INF. You'll find where the everything is listed over here. So enable auto configuration, cache auto configuration. So these are the things has been listed over there. Now it figure it out in what particular condition we have to load the bean or not. Okay, if the condition will not met, it will not be instantiated and it won't be available for your application context. Suppose that this is a conditional on bean. If these are the condition on the bean, if these were missing, it won't be creating any object for a JPA repository. Auto configuration will not happen. So it's basically depends upon the two things. First of all the dependencies has to be available in the class path. Secondly, it has to be used in the context. If it is not defined in application.properties, it won't be creating. So it's all depend on the condition, and all the condition is written in that particular class, whether to load these properties or not. For example, if you have just added your Tomcat, embedded Tomcat, it would be by default available for you port 8080. And if you don't do this, if you want to override it, you can use the server.port 8080 or 8081 or 9092. So that was the case. I hope you have understood this problem and the solution. Please let me know if you have any question or comment. Thank you. Thank you very much.